My name is Simon Blackwood, and I have been a detective for more than 30 years. And I'm thrilled to have you join me on this journey into the world of horror. I've always been fascinated by the supernatural and the unknown and the world of crime. Now let's start our story for today. Tragically, our work has revealed that every year, hundreds of thousands of children are reported missing. It's a heartbreaking statistic, one that weighs heavily on our minds as we strive to improve the safety and well-being of our youngest and most vulnerable citizens. The thought of any child being taken from their family and held captive for any length of time is enough to send shivers down anyone's spine. The idea of a so-called stereotypical kidnapping, in which a child is abducted by a stranger and subjected to unspeakable horrors, is enough to bring tears to one's eyes. However, it's important to note that such crimes are relatively rare, comprising just 0.4% of all missing children, according to government reports. Unfortunately, in 2003, Janette Tamayo became one of those unlucky few. At just 9 years old, she was the victim of a terrifying abduction. Her captor, after savagely beating her brother and her mother, carried the young girl to his car and sped away.
Once he rushed me downstairs and into the car, I just remember thinking to myself, where are we going?
Despite the horrors that Jeannette faced, she managed to keep her wits about her in a way that few adults could ever hope to do. Through a combination of bravery, quick thinking, and a little bit of luck. The events of that fateful day continue to haunt the quiet Southwind Drive neighborhood to this day.
911, what's your emergency?
It all started with a frantic 911 call placed by a concerned neighbor at 4:30 p.m. reporting that a woman had staggered to her doorstep, bloodied and disoriented. The neighbor immediately recognized the gravity of the situation and immediately summoned the police. Within minutes, police officers had swarmed the area, determined to find 9-year-old Janette Tamayo, who had been taken from her home by a mysterious man. The fourth grader at Blossom Valley School had been a model student, loved and respected by her teachers and classmates alike. Now, she was the subject of a desperate search that would last for hours. The kidnapper was described as a Latino man in his early 20s, wearing a beanie cap and a light-colored t-shirt. He was clean-shaven, with a possible light mustache and a big scratch on his face where the girl's mother had clawed him in a valiant attempt to protect her daughter.
I thinking, if Dios existe, help me with my daughter.
The authorities had little to go on, as Jeanette's mother was badly injured and unable to provide many details about the attack. As the search intensified, Jeanette's parents were left to anxiously wait and pray for their daughter's safe return. Experts warn that if an abductor intends to harm or kill their victim, the act is likely to take place within the first few hours of the abduction. This only added to the family's already unbearable stress and anxiety. "To think of your child being taken," said the neighbor, Karen Kampfold. "It's very scary." The news of the abduction sent shockwaves throughout the quiet and peaceful neighborhood, where well-kept homes with tile roofs and perfectly trimmed lawns are a common sight. The community was in shock, unable to comprehend how such a heinous crime could have occurred in their midst. Neighbors who had known the family for a few months were stunned by the events unfolding before their eyes. As the search for Jeannette continued, the neighborhood remained on edge. The last crime anyone could remember was a spate of car burglaries a few months back, so the abduction was a jarring and unwelcome reminder that crime could happen anywhere and at any time. The community banded together, determined to help the authorities in any way they could to bring Jeannette home safely. Janette Tamayo's terrifying ordeal didn't end when her kidnapper,
Is he gonna kill me? I didn't know.
a Latino man, took her from her home in San Jose, California. For 2 days, she was held captive in a second-story bedroom of a house, handcuffed and subjected to sexual abuse by her abductor. Despite the extreme danger she was in, Jeannette managed to keep her cool and devise a plan to survive. She knew that she couldn't physically overpower her captor, so she decided to try and gain his trust instead. She started talking to him and interacting with him, trying to build a connection with him.
Because my life was at risk, I said to myself, I have to have a conversation with him so he gains my trust.
Although it was incredibly difficult for her to talk to her abductor and not give in to her impulses to lash out at him, she persevered and treated him like a normal human being. Her plan slowly began to work, and her captor started to see her as more than just a victim. He began to trust her, and as a result, he let his guard down. As Jeannette continued to build trust with her captor, she started to feel more and more comfortable around him. She shared with him her hopes and dreams for the future and opened up about her deep love for her family. Her abductor seemed to listen to her with interest and even let her watch TV. It was during one of these TV sessions that Jeannette's quick mind came up with a plan. She had overheard on the news about tests being conducted on bunnies and people for asthma, and she decided to use this to her advantage. She told her captor that she had asthma and a serious medical condition, and without her medication, she would surely die. To her surprise, her captor seemed to believe her and showed some compassion for her condition. Maybe it was the story about asthma that struck a chord with him, or maybe it was the trust that Jeannette had built with him over the past few days. Whatever the reason, Jeannette, through sheer willpower and determination, he ultimately dropped her off on a street corner and let her go.
I ran inside the store, and I remember running to an aisle and just crying. But I wasn't crying because I was sad. I was crying because I was so happy. I was happy and I was afraid, and I was just all kinds of emotions in one. And I remember the gentleman that was behind the counter looking at me and asking me, "Are you okay?" And I told him, "No." And he picked up the phone and I said, "Please don't call the cops." And I started crying. He was asking me, "What's your name?" I said, "Jeannette." And then he said, "You're the little girl from TV."
Jeannette was picked up by the police and taken for medical care before being reunited with her family. However, her traumatic experience was far from over. She continued to suffer from the after effects of the kidnapping and the abuse she endured at the hands of her captor. Despite this, Jeannette's bravery and resourcefulness did not end with her escape. She remembered every turn her abductor had taken after he put her in his car, and with great courage, she led the police back to his house. This critical information led to the arrest and conviction of her captor, ensuring that he would never be able to harm anyone else again. Jeannette's resilience and courage during her traumatic experience continue to inspire people around the world. Her ability to recall even the smallest details of her kidnapping allowed the police to capture her abductor and put him behind bars. This incredible feat not only ensured justice for Jeannette but also ensured that her abductor would never harm anyone again. Santa Clara County Deputy District Attorney Matt Breaker, who prosecuted the case, noted that killers often dehumanize their victims. However, Jeannette's ability to engage her abductor in conversation and build trust with him likely played a significant role in her survival. By treating her captor as a human being, she was able to humanize herself in his eyes, and this could have been what ultimately led to her release. Following her harrowing experience, Jeannette struggled with intense trauma and fear. She found solace in writing about her feelings in her diary, using invisible ink to keep her thoughts private. For years, she hardly left her home, trapped in the grip of overwhelming anxiety and fear. However, after years of therapy, Jeannette began to find the courage to venture beyond her home and start rebuilding her life. She recalls one particular day at the mall when she was 15 years old. Despite feeling overwhelmed and anxious, she told herself that everything was going to be okay and that she could do it. This small step was a major breakthrough for Jeannette, who had been grappling with her fears for years. Today, Jeannette continues to inspire others with her story of survival and resilience. She has used her experiences to advocate for other victims of sexual violence and to encourage survivors to seek help and support. Her bravery and resilience in the face of unimaginable trauma remind us of the power of the human spirit to overcome even the darkest of circumstances. Thank you for watching my channel and joining me every week for new and exciting stories. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button to stay updated on future tales.